So I'm pretty sure that more demons are coming to Darktide, and it's probably exactly in the way you'd expect. But before we get into that, it's been a minute since we've heard from Wormwood. I wonder how she's doing. Oh. Well, at least now we know if the Lictor or Genestealer's got her.
The soul is mine now.
Oh. Good thing I already made these so I get to use them again. Obviously, I was wrong about Wormwood being hunted by a Lictor or having found a Genestealer cult. Yeah, it's a bit of a bummer we're not likely to see Xenos for the time being, but it is exciting to finally have Darktide's first expansion, the Traitor Curse. We've gotten a lot of interesting new puzzle pieces of information from the boxes and trailers leading up to the Traitor Curse, and now a new slew of voice lines and environmental storytelling with the release of Part 1 of the Anniversary expansion. But there also isn't anything terribly groundbreaking revealed. Buckle up, Buttercups, because I'm taking us on an omnibus of speculation that includes demons, other chaos gods, and Warhammer fantasy lore, of all things. I'm throwing it all at the wall, nothing held back, all theories must go. Let's get into our investigation and see if we can't decipher what's to come in the Traitor Curse. So, what is the Traitor Curse? What does that mean? Is it a curse inflicted upon the traitors? Is Tertium now metaphorically cursed because of the traitors, and we and the civilians are the ones afflicted by it? Is there something that already exists in 40k lore that this title is a nod to that we can look at for information? Not really. Kind of, maybe? You see, this symbol in the logo for the Traitor Curse is the iconography for Chaos Undivided, and this symbol is found literally everywhere the Moebians and Admonition are. Painted in the maps, on their armor, they use it a lot. Chaos Undivided means when you turn traitor, you don't pledge your loyalty to one of the 4 specific gods of chaos. Instead, you recognize them all as a unified pantheon. You worship and call upon all 4 chaos gods for their power and ask for their aid in your fight against loyalists, with an ultimate goal to win the favor of all 4 of the ruinous powers and ascend to demonhood. This is generally considered not a great idea because in the end, one of 2 things is going to happen to you. Option number 1 is you do a really good job and somehow win over all 4 chaos gods with how bad of a bitch you are, and become a great champion blessed by every god and or a demonic avatar of their will. Option number 2 is you're not very good at your job, you get boring, and the chaos gods consume your soul and turn you into a chaos spawn. This is not a good time for you. Nothing in existing 40k lore outright calls this a curse, and this is more my spin on the concept, but being turned into a giant rampant flesh monster as punishment for sucking feels a lot like a curse. And while we are shown different cutscenes in Darktide that Wulfur and the Moebian 6 appear to have pledged themselves to Nurgle specifically and work with the Cult of Admonition, they do have an awful lot of Undivided branding in their appearance. Some even have the symbol carved into their skin, which is actually something that followers of Chaos Undivided always have. The mark is somewhere on their body. This might not be an accident at all, because making the traitors followers of Chaos Undivided is an easy way to kick open the door to the possibilities of finally seeing something other than those afflicted by Nurgle in the game. Instead of worshipping Nurgle exclusively, Wulfur and the Moebian 6 may have turned to Chaos on the fringe, and working with the Cult of Admonition was more of a matter of convenience for both Wulfur and Nurgle's purposes. The Carnival District itself is actually a fantastic spot to find followers of the chaos god Slaanesh, the dark god of pleasure and perfection. Slaanesh delights in addictions, chasing sensations and excess in every sense, which is basically what the Carnival District is all about. It's a recreation district where anything available in Tertium can be bought, and every desire catered to. We even get some intel through intercepted Vox transmissions between Wulfur and his troop leaders that his off-duty soldiers tend to spend their time in drug dens in the Carnival District.
Nothing to tell, sir. We've bodies on the ground. I've had to pull off duties out of the drug dens. They're unfocused.
Which really has to make you wonder, are we finally going to see forces of a chaos god that isn't Nurgle at work? Just imagine it, we show up in the carnival district to find out that it's a little demonic party, a carnival of chaos, if you will. Carnival of chaos. That really rolls off the tongue. It sounds good. I can't believe it isn't already a thing. Oh shit, I lied. That is a thing. The Carnival of Chaos exists. Way back in ye old year of 1999, a set of rules for Warhammer Fantasy was published called Mordheim. This was a tabletop game with a focus on smaller warbands for skirmish matches, and one of those warbands was the Carnival of Chaos. The story behind the carnival is that it was a traveling show put on by worshippers of Nurgle, tricking peasants and villagers to come watch as a way to sacrifice them or bring them into their ranks in service to the plague god. Why am I telling you about this? Well, in their previous Warhammer games, Fatshark has actually utilized a lot of older source material from this similar era to inspire their settings and plots. Taking inspiration from materials that aren't current and arguably not even part of the canon anymore keeps settings and characters anchored in existing lore from the Warhammer universe, while making it easier to allow for that creative liberty wiggle room to make a unique story that works in a Left 4 Dead style game. To be 100% absolutely crystal clear, I am not saying that I think the actual Carnival of Chaos, or even a reimagining of it into a 40k version, is going to be put into the game. I don't think we'll ever hear the name Carnival of Chaos, or hear about a circus somewhere that we never get to see. Warhammer Fantasy and 40k are distinctly their own universes, and I don't think Fatshark would be so brash as to cross the streams. But I am reasonably sure that someone at Fatshark who works on Darktide is aware of the existence of the Carnival of Chaos, and it probably isn't an accident that the new sector these missions take place in is called the Carnival. It's likely a little wink to those in the know about some classic lore that otherwise might not have made the connection. The Carnival of Chaos from the fantasy setting has a particular structure to its members since it's a tabletop warband faction. The Carnival is led by a Carnival Master who is favored by Nurgle. The Master is power hungry and eager to spread the diseases of Nurgle amongst the populations of civilians to either kill them or turn them into cultists. This matches a lot of what we know about Wolfer. He fancies himself influential enough to be able to persuade citizens of Tertium to join his efforts and become free and have an age of prosperity through chaos. Other Carnival members include Brutes, which are grotesquely mutated strongmen that always have their faces covered with hoods. That's kind of what they do. They're just big dudes. Sounds pretty familiar. There's less important and more numerous members called the Brethren. These are cultists, basic mortal worshippers of Nurgle, and they play a role very similar to the Cult of Admonition. Next, there are Tainted Ones. These guys are very important in the warband, almost like right-hand men of the Carnival Master. They wear heavy robes from head to toe because under everything they are actually horrifically deformed with Nurgle's diseases, so badly that it's not safe for another mortal member of the Carnival to even touch their skin without withering from disease. A big part of the danger is that they can carry Nurgle's rot, which they spread to those around them. Nurgle's rot is the grandfather's most potent creation. It's a completely incurable disease because it isn't just an infection of your body. Nurgle's rot infects your literal soul. When you contract Nurgle's rot, you suffer from the illness until your body collapses into a pile of bloody goo, and in the Garden of Nurgle, a demon known as a Plaguebearer bursts into existence, having fed on your essence while the disease runs its course. Your soul becomes damned to serve Nurgle for eternity as a demonic Plaguebearer. Demons are a big deal, even lesser ones like Plaguebearers. Chaos cultists are generally mortals that have just been blessed by chaos and magically protected from the fatal nature of the empowerments bestowed upon them. Demons are tougher and more powerful because they are a supernatural presence of their god's hell realm in the real world. In game mechanic terms, we'd probably see Plaguebearers work a lot like gas rats from the Vermintide series, which have been conspicuously missing from Darktide. Plaguebearers have a grenade weapon that's a shrunken head filled with disease that they lob at enemies from a distance, which is actually kind of pretty metal. Other lesser demons in the Carnival of Chaos include Nurglings, which are little round Nurgle mini-me's that show up in large swarms in combat situations. They're walking zits capable of somewhat rational thought and fun fun fact, Fatshark already has models for these done. Nurglings have actually shown up in the Vermintide 2 Halloween events for the last 2 years. So, if the Carnival of Chaos unleashes Pestilence, Nurgle's Rot, and lesser demons through pretending to be a fun show in Warhammer Fantasy, and we shouldn't expect to see an outright recreation of this in Darktide, what might a Carnival of Chaos inspired plot look like? Great question. In the 9th edition Codex Chaos Space Marines published in 2022, Games Workshop added a small unit group called the Dark Commune. The Commune is a cabal of cult leader weirdos that can worship a specific chaos god or Chaos Undivided, and they aren't entirely dissimilar to the Carnival of Chaos. There's a power-hungry demagogue that preaches propaganda to encourage civilians to rise up against the Imperium and embrace chaos as an avenue of true freedom, which again fits Wolfer's character. The Dark Commune also includes bodyguards called Blessed Blades that are ready to protect the commune from loyalists, an Iconarch in charge of hoisting around the cult's demonic symbol, and a Mind Witch. We do know that Wolfer is working with witches too, from this new voice line.
Consult the witches. I'll take anything at this point.
With Wolfer's return and the introduction of the Karker twins, and now knowing that he has witches at his behest, the Moebian 6th have a stronger feeling of structure within their ranks, and the roles they play could be some blend of Dark Commune and Carnival of Chaos, where these new agents are here to usher in a demonic incursion. Instead of doing this by putting on a show, the disease would likely be spread through the new stim drug that's being passed around the Moebians. Grendel and the leaders of his retinue seem to believe that this stim could be related to the spread of the pathogen that's been ravaging Tertium and turning people into poxwalkers. But likely, if there is a disease in the stim, it's actually much worse. We know the Cult of Admonition has been working on making new pathogens because we raid one of their operations doing exactly this in the Refinery Delta 17 mission on the Hourglass map. It could be that the traitors and cultists have been attempting to produce Nurgle's Rot, or a disease that similarly mutates victims or turns them into demons.
My beloved says the soul rots first, then the body. Don't like the sound of that.
It is also possible that since the rejects have been thwarting their plans, Wolfer has brought the drugs with him upon his return, or perhaps even entreated the Chaos Gods to send help in the siege of Tertium. I personally am of the mind that the Traitor Curse is a terrible fate that will be inflicted upon some of the Moebians themselves through this new stim drug that we raid the amphitheater for samples in the first Carnival District mission. This drug will probably change at least some of the traitors who take it physically, and possibly even consume their souls and usher in a demonic incursion of Nurgle's Plaguebearers and Nurglings. And if we take Wormwood's death in Vox 12 with a literal interpretation, we might have confirmation that there's either a disease or an entity present powerful enough to rip away mortal souls. When Wormwood died, whatever entity killed her says her soul belongs to him now. This could be metaphorical, of course, but there's also the potential that its meaning is literal. If it is literal, did we hear a warp entity of Nurgle kill her by way of Nurgle's Rot, damning Wormwood's soul to becoming Plaguebearer fertilizer? If you'll recall in Vox 11, Morningstar reports there's a perturbation in the warp disrupting communications. The cause of this could be any numerous amount of things, but when the entity in Vox 12 reveals itself, the list narrows down a bit. Most likely, we are hearing a sorcerer, a demon, some kind of warp entity that's powerful enough to cause a disruption to transmissions by its very presence. This would also be something that is clearly non-human, also explaining Wormwood's insistence that a thing was after her. So who or what killed Wormwood? At this point, my money's on some kind of sorcerer specifically. This would likely be a demon or chosen powerful psyker blessed by Nurgle, or possibly even Chaos Undivided, that has been drawn to or commanded to Atoma to help with the siege of Tertium. Alternatively, and I feel like this is a much less likely scenario, it could be a Great Unclean One, which is a big Nurgle demon boy. But that's all just speculation, and you know, it's not like I've ever been wrong before. Thanks for watching. Keep your eyes peeled for the next video, where we're going to get into some just pure unfiltered 40k lore, exploring what the Warp and Chaos are, plus the history and role mortal chaos worshippers play in the universe. Until then, go play part 1 of the Traitor Curse and let me know what you think is going to happen in the comments. I'll see you out there against the Darktide.